Beautiful rising, beautiful rising. It feels so good to be greeted by the sun. It feels really good to be relaxed and in the moment. So, arrived at our one of our destinations, and I don't. You probably can see me. You probably can see me, and I'm sure this will come out right. But the sun is in my eye. Enjoying a balcony stateroom on the cruise, and behind me is the island Coco Cay, Royal Caribbean, and I'll insert some shots and video of the island as I go along. But this vlog, not only sharing my trip and the experience of getting to this point, but also the inner reflection and the visioning and the symbolism of how I recognize the divine in all of this. It took a lot to get here. Literally, not just physically, but here in a state of mind. So, you know how it is trying to go on vacation, right? And we can be so busy trying to just get there. It's the same thing when it comes to your state of mind. And so I experienced major shifts in August, between August and the end of the year, actually up until now in February of 2024, so August 2023 till now. In that period, I experienced shifts in my major work as a stylist, a hairstylist. This month, February 2024, will be 10 years in business. I experienced major reduction, and I threw everything but the kitchen sink at my business, doing the practices and things that I know to stimulate what I was used to. I've been blessed to have a consistency in clients, long-term clients, but all of a sudden things just feel like they stopped. So it triggered some fears of survival within me. People know me to be a strong person, one who, once I have a vision about a thing, I see the vision, I infuse the vision, and I listen to spirit and move. But this situation over the last few months caused a trigger of remembrance of many years ago with struggle when it comes to survival and finance. However, in my journey of living an awakened life, one who embraces the awareness of waking up and operating in the spirit, and one who teaches that, this vlog is a part of transparency of my thoughts and the things that I'm going through as I'm making a different choice or higher choices of being present and enjoying this. So it's much more than a trip. And then being amongst like-minded that I'm traveling with who understand who I am. So this is a part of my teaching. There's going to be somebody that's going to benefit from this. So the trip finally comes. I did pay for the trip beforehand, but still needed to take care of flight and also hotel. And my traveling partner, a good friend of mine, at the right energy. We've known each other for years. She is a solution-orientated person. Also, she knows the challenge emotionally that I've been through. And we just finished having breakfast, and I was telling her, you're an expert at holding space. And I have others who have checked in. I have spiritual sister friends that I can count on my hand. When they see me dip, and that's not often, but they know how to hold space, and they know how to help me reactivate vision. And as I'm going through things, it's my nature, as I'm going through it, to want to teach from it. I may not speak about it openly in the midst, but I know that my calling is one as a spiritual teacher, a professional encourager, a prayer specialist, right? Amongst many other gifts and skills and talents. And I've asked the divine to show me what's the highest possibility of me operating in my gifts. And so when we ask those questions, opportunities will come up to strengthen your muscle of faith, basically, right? So we've made it here. I've monitored my thoughts because we have thoughts going on in the background. I like to explain things in pictures or talk in a way that you can visualize. So see your life as holding a tray. On the tray is like a waiter. You've got some heavy things on your plate. You got things that you can have to manage, and the tray gets heavier. So I have a tray that has felt heavy, and even though I'm moving through and getting here on the trip and participating, I have to practice. I'm choosing to practice being in present moment, resetting the thought. I'm highly analytical, but when I look up my astrology chart and other information about me, the being that I am and how I'm naturally wired, and visioning and imagination is crucial for me in my survival, in my thriving as one who walks in the spirit in the third dimension. So I am choosing to stay present. I'm choosing to look out on this water. I'm choosing to feel the water. I'm choosing to see and feel abundance and expansion. I'm choosing to be present here, even though I have a tray that might feel heavy, concerns of when I return. I was blessed to be reminded and have a conversation with my travel mate. As I've studied and also as I hear from Spirit over the years, facing fears, a practice of facing fears. One of the practices is ask yourself the question, what is the worst that can happen? And then visioning the worst that can happen in your own mind. So what if the worst happens? Right? Facing it and moving through it. And my friend, she has a quote. And the tail end of that, asking the question, what is the worst that can happen? But did you die? If the worst happens, or what you consider to be the worst, did you die? So letting go, moving past that. Letting go and moving past that. So also, what I'm practicing is envisioning myself in this experience more and more. Envisioning having retreats and speaking. When I was when one of my other spirit sister friends dropped me off at the airport, I said, I'm imagining us on a trip, on a retreat for the Sister Circle with a small group of people or a medium-sized group of people. And we're enjoying this cruise, and one day of the cruise will be our conference. And because I've experienced that before with another sister friend who was about hosting spiritual retreats. Our Sister Circle, and the idea of coming together with like-minded and then enjoying all of the amenities like this and activating the portal of higher visioning and experience and that we facilitate. So I jumped back into my imagination immediately. On the way to the airport, I was sharing with her that when I was a little girl, I remember vividly in elementary school that I was called to the principal's office, and they had called my mother and said, you know, your daughter is not paying attention. She's daydreaming too much. So I shared that story and went deeper into it with my sister friend as she dropped me off at the airport. The very next day, we flew into Miami, and then the very next morning, we're going to leave to get to the port to catch the ship. But that morning, so I was dropped off Thursday, flew into Miami. Friday morning, I opened my phone, and I wasn't looking for anything, but I happened to scroll, and a video popped up, you all. And I hope to edit a portion of what the video was talking about, but it was a testimony of a woman that spoke about, like I said, I scrolled and all of a sudden this voice came over the phone, and it's a video of a young lady that talked about when she was a little girl, she used to daydream. And she went into how she had to go full circle. She recognized how things manifested through her visioning practice. She was wired to be one who imagined and used her visioning and visualization as a little girl. But she wasn't chastised for doing that. But as an adult, as she went through things in life and she was trying to learn more about manifesting and spiritual laws, that it brought her full circle back to her natural self, her nature. When we are born, we all have different gifts, a combination thereof, or specific gifts that are stronger than the other. Become equipped. And that's why I like to say it's important you understand your spiritual wiring, how the Creator has wired you. We have spiritual sight called clairaudience. We have spiritual hearing, spiritual hearing, clairaudient, spiritual sight, clairvoyance, spiritual senses, clairsentient, claircognizant is spiritual, knowing something without having studied it, things like that, okay? The traditional everyday person or world, the word clairvoyance tends to be most prevalent and understood, but your spiritual senses, there's many different clairs. Clair, C-L-A-I-R, and then audient, A-U-D-I-N-T, spiritual hearing. Anyway, I mentioned a couple of those, a few of those spiritual senses. So let me regroup. So hopefully I can insert here. I want to go back to that video and try to screen record it so you can hear this woman's story. Well, you know how you go along in life and you have a story or an experience, and all of a sudden the universe delivers to you an example through seeing a video or a discussion or a sign or It's a synchronicity that shows up. You're like, wait a minute, and you notice it, and it's meant for you to notice. There is a divine communication, a divine transmission going on all the time. We are living in multi-dimensions. Paying attention to these nuances is key. It's key. And I had not gotten away from it, but something showed up in my life, and it's like, woo. But on my trip, as I'm navigating through and pushing through my experience, I get this acknowledgement, this synchronicity that I know is pure Holy Spirit. That how do I tell a story about me as a little girl daydreaming, and then wake up the next day and the story of this woman is coming across my phone, grabbing my attention. Now I want to stop here when it comes a side note. The analytical mind, some of you that are listening might say, well, our devices pick up everything, right? Yeah. Have you ever noticed that you could be talking about something, and next thing you know, you see all kinds of ads about that thing, and your phone's listening, Big Brother listening. So you could rationalize that. So I could rationalize that my phone picked up the conversation, and the next thing a story comes up. But no, there's many ways to see, to interpret everything, and that's the different dimensions. I could look at it strictly from the third dimension and say, oh wow, that's a coincidence. Or I could see it at a higher level and say, oh my God, this is a synchronicity. So anyway, I researched that individual, and if I'm not able to put an excerpt for you to hear that story, which is my story, I will put a link to that video. Hopefully it'll still be available, but it still got me thinking, because the name of this person, her name is Reagan Hilliard, and I went on YouTube, and guess what? She was announcing a manifestation conference that is coming to Miami a week from now. And the conference summit clock was ticking on the hours left and the days left for you to register, y'all. Only one person gonna get this, but maybe many persons will get the divine synchronicity. Here it is. I tell a story of an experience. The next morning, I'm hearing a video of a person that mirrored the experience. That I'm like, wait a minute, this person had the same experience. Let me check this person out. What does she have to teach? What do I need to get? Turns out she's going to be here along with five other speakers, and it's the first conference of its kind, hosted by a teaching company called Mind Valley, Valley, and they give all kinds of courses, and they have all kinds of teachers and master classes and online master classes and free, all about basically living an awakened life, because y'all know that's my theme. I have a podcast that I want to reactivate called Living an Awakened Life Podcast. Living an Awakened Life is my ministry, okay? The ministry that's been given to me is teaching people and open your eyes to the world of living through symbolism and living through imagination and visualization as a part of one of the universal laws that have been in place by the creative essence of everything, okay? All spiritual teachings are the foundation of many spiritual teachings has to do with practicing in the awareness of spiritual laws. So long and short, how I see this thing is just away from the divine. The story came up. It matches you. I researched the speaker. They're going to be here the next weekend, March 2nd to the 3rd. I've always wanted to go to conferences and be in proximity of people who operate at the higher level of manifestation and living by divine synchronicities and signs. I immediately wrote out and put on my notepad an affirmation or a question to the divine, to the universe. What is the highest possibility of me attending this manifestation summit on March 2nd and 3rd? VIP experience with hotel and air flight and meals effortlessly aligning for me to attend. Question mark. What is the highest possibility? So we're in a full moon. So I implanted that. I put that out there. I just wrote a note on my notepad and I'm putting that there as a seed. Now they have 3 levels of this. You can do a virtual because we're in early registration for a nominal fee, and then they had in person, and then they had VIP. And VIP it was, having an event afterwards, meeting the speakers. Some of the speakers are, I'm gonna get Dr. Michael Beckwith, founder of the Agape Church, and he was also in the movie The Secret. I follow his teachings. Neil Diamond Walsh, the author of Conversations with God, and then this young lady who's a master manifester. So and then 2-3 other people. So the founder of Mind Valley organization, okay, some of y'all might be familiar with it or not, but this young man created an organization where you can get teachings from people who teach and live universal laws. And this is the first summit conference of its kind. The ultimate for me would to be able to experience being in the midst of people from all over walks of life, and in the midst of receiving teachings and exercises and practices. So, nonetheless, I'm sending a message back to the universe that I'm saying yes to this idea. But before the end of the day, you have to register early bird in order to get the prices. So I'm just going to register for the virtual experience. But never know what might happen between now and next week. I have already put it out to the universe. What's possible to be in person? And maybe if not this year, I'm sure they'll have it next year. I can build up for it. But I'm going to be in virtual presence March 2nd and 3rd. Now, that's a weekend, and typically I have hair appointments. But as I'm working on my client, I will be plugged in. And hopefully afterwards, you're able to at least do a replay so that I could sit, and sit down afterwards and reflect on it again. But I'm going to be tapped in energetically, virtually, but anything's possible between now and when it happens. I'm not limiting that. I'm saying I'm open to highest possibilities. That's one synchronicity. Guess what else happened? Friday evening here on the ship, been enjoying all the facilities and the amenities and all, but we were they had a 70s, at one of their clubs, they had a 70s party. And, I'm enjoying and vibing, and I'm sitting there, and these ships have 6,000 people. Well, first of all, let's back up. I was invited by one of my clients. This is her wedding reception. 98 people. This is a ship of 6,000. When we first get on the ship, I go to get something to eat. And it's huge. Do you know, in a matter of 10 minutes, my client who invited me came right up to me. We found each other. I thought that was uncanny. And then a few hours later, we ran into each other again on a ship of 6,000. We're going to be meeting, Saturday night for her reception. But fast forward, in the evening, I was at this 70s, one of the clubs there, and, just enjoying the music and everything. Two ladies came up to me, and this place was crowded, and said, "Miss Wanda, is that you?" I'm like, oh my God, how do I run into two young ladies from my massage therapy career, which I left 10 years ago. One of them was a manager at a Massage Envy, and the other was a co-manager, and they became friends and remained friends. One of them moved away, had kids, but these two ladies recognized me. You understand what I'm saying? She said to me, "I wonder if we're going to see somebody we know." She spoke that out. Before the day was out, she said, "Miss Wanda," Shayla looked and said, "I think that's Miss Wanda." And then she said, people moved out of the way, and they both saw me clearly, and they came over. It was crazy. I haven't seen these young ladies in 10 years. But it didn't stop there. Do y'all know that both confirmed and shared with me that they shared with me what they recognized of me years ago in being this way of spiritual awareness, spiritual connection, being one who activates and assists others to live from that space as well. They saw me transition from massage therapy and planting the seed for the business, the hair salon and the hair work, being in the break room in between massages and building my new practice. And they saw it as a seed, and they saw when I was practicing on my coworkers, and then the next thing you know, I was gone into the new thing. And she said, one of them said, "Please know this is a sign. We believe that too. I'm here to speak to you. Continue to be who you are and teach, Miss Wanda. Please do." And we see that in our lives too. Y'all. So, as I've committed to myself to be present and breathe and see what the divine is showing me in all that I do, out of a ship of 6,000 people, the divine synchronicity on this trip, from the video that come up, from seeing the bride that invited me to this. It's uncanny, from seeing these young ladies from 10 years ago. Oh my God. So more and more, these dynamic synchronicities showing up to me is a beautiful, loving confirmation from Spirit that I got your back. Yes, go back. Dive deeper into your authentic self as one who walks in the Spirit through vision, than as one who knows how to manifest. Look at all the prayers you've prayed and how things manifested, how you operate. I've got so many stories and confirmations to share. So don't ignore that. Be that. Don't ignore that. Be that. Understand how you are spiritually wired. If you're not familiar with astrology, get a natal chart done. There are other systems, human design, there's Mayan astrology. Work on your intuition. If you are new in your spiritual awakening, I am Mama Wanda, and I love working with those who are choosing to live an awakened life, practicing what's necessary to stay awake, taking advantage of the divine signs and the nuances that enhance your life. In the midst of this vlog, that's one of the messages that I want to get across. So I'll continue to share, and we're getting ready to disembark and go have some fun. Peace and blessings.